One mistake I often see in writing, particularly in big ensembles of characters, is when writers don't understand their own characters beyond surface level desires. I think one funny example that you'll see of this quite often in like Japanese media, for example, like anime or JRPGs, is there's always that one girl who's just obsessed with food and that's like her entire personality, you know? And when you first meet her, it's like kind of cute and endearing and all of that. But it immediately makes me ask questions like, did she grow up in a family of high quality chefs and she's just deeply nostalgic for great food? Or was she homeless when she was really young and she's learned to, kind of hide and hoard food because she doesn't trust when the next meal is going to come? Just giving her one of those two possibilities creates a more interesting character who's got more depth and has more room for growth and development. I mean, that's an easy example where it's so clearly just a very tropey thing to do. But so often that's what we do. It's like, oh, I've got a story in mind for this young princess who has to claim the throne, and that's all she cares about, right? It's like her whole objective in life is this one thing. Now, I understand that for like the context of a story, people are going to have their primary objectives, but if you want them to feel alive and you want them to feel like living, breathing people, they need to have a life beyond whatever that primary goal is. And it needs to influence them. It needs to show up in sometimes subtle and sometimes very not subtle ways. I find it helpful to ask a few kind of hardcore questions of any character in the story. It doesn't matter if they're the protagonist or if they're just a little side character. How would they respond to a few pretty intense scenarios, such as you just found out you have 3 months to live? How does this character respond to that information? What do they do with that? You experience death for the first time. How does this character deal with that? And then one that I think is really fun and really telling about any human being. You just inherited a small fortune, whether you won the lottery or your rich uncle just died and bequeathed everything he had to you. What does that do to this character? How do they treat the people around them? How do they treat that money? Are they the kind of person who says, I just found out I'm going to die. I'm giving away everything I have? Are they the kind of person that decides they have to rush to do everything they wanted to do in life because maybe they were the kind of person before that was very cautious and never took risks, and now they're regretting that? You see what I'm saying? If you can't answer some of these questions about your characters, you might not know your characters that well.